Greetings and salutations, young true believers. So, for those of you who have taken a critical thinking course, either with me or somewhere else, you may well be aware of the logical fallacy known as the false dilemma. So, the false dilemma fallacy occurs when we paint a scenario as having only two solutions, one of which is satisfactory or acceptable, and the other which is awful, right? So I want to advance the thesis that that's exactly what Garrett Hardin does in his Lifeboat Ethics article, right? He leads us to believe that we have one of two options. We can send food aid to nations with starving populations and ameliorate the problem in the short term, but of course that's going to lead to a long-term disaster in which there won't be enough food for anyone. We'll all starve to death. So we should just let the people in poor nations starve to death and not worry about what's happening there. It's not our responsibility, and our intervening would only exacerbate the situation. Well, this obviously stands in stark contrast to what Louis Pojman calls the liberal position, as exemplified by Peter Singer in his utilitarian stance, which is if you are in a situation in which you should help someone, a fellow sentient being, then you should help that fellow sentient being, right? And of course, Watson, that is to say, Richard Watson, who takes a deontological, that is to say, a Kantian approach in which he advocates helping your fellow rational beings by virtue of the fact that they're rational. We have a moral obligation to assist them, regardless of whether or not this does in fact result in a catastrophe of the kind that Hardin predicted, right? So Pojman, instead, he wants to advocate what he considers a third way, and this third way incorporates elements of both the conservative viewpoint and the liberal viewpoint, and he acknowledges, he writes this, and again, I apologize because I've not been able to find a PDF of Pojman's article, and of course, without being able to go to campus and being able to access a scanner, it's really difficult to get this to you. But don't worry, I'm gonna find a way, right? Anyway, Pojman's moderate, his third way approach, if you will, right, goes thusly, and this is quoting from his article, World Hunger and Population. Moderate moral theory recognizes special responsibilities to family, friends, and neighbors. This is the reason Singer's drowning child example is misleading. I can do only so much good. I can save only so many drowning children. I may have a duty to give of my surplus to help save drowning children in a distant land, but I have a stronger duty to help those with whom I have intimate or contractual ties. Now, again, I want to pause there. That's an acknowledgement, a tacit, not explicit, but a tacit acknowledgement that the position advocated by the feminist care ethicist is a good one, right? It acknowledges that those with whom we have intimate, caring relationships should matter, and they should get priority in our lives, right? Relationships matter, and empathy and the emotions matter. Continuing on, Pojman notes, that said, the other side of the coin must be turned over and the liberal program acknowledged. For another aspect of morality is the enlargement of the circle of benevolence and flourishing, the utilitarian aspect of maximizing good. We need to expand a small circle of moral consideration and commitment from family, community, and country to include the entire planet. We need to do this for two reasons. First, it is simply good to do so. Helping as many people and animals as possible without harming yourself is part of the meaning of promoting the flourishing of sentient beings. Second, it is in our self-interest to do so. Unless we learn to live together on this small planet, we may all perish. Humanity is no longer innocent. Technology, through its inventions of atomic weapons, biological weapons, chemical weapons, and so forth, is available to destroy all sentient life. One nation's adverse environmental impact can affect the rest of the world. If one nation pollutes the air through spreading sulfur dioxide or carbon dioxide, the rest of the world suffers the effects. If the Brazilian or Peruvian farmers cut down large segments of the Amazon rainforest, we all lose oxygen and ecological diversity. We are all in each other's debt. If we don't hang together, we hang alone. And he goes on to note, so the same considerations that led to mutual cooperation between the original tribes, and he's speaking, just vaguely about the origins of humanity, right, must inform our global policies. A rational core morality must reign internationally. Although we still have priority commitments to family and friends, we cannot allow selfishness to hinder generous dealings with the rest of the world. Garrett Hardin's metaphor of nations as lifeboats has only limited applicability. It may justify careful immigration policies that prevent overcrowding, but it should not prevent assistance to other nations that may be helped and that someday may be able to help us. In a sense, the whole earth is one great lifeboat in which we'll sink or float together. And I think that's a really good way to characterize this problem of global poverty. And just FYI, because we're on the subject, right? Because Hardin's article never ceases to generate controversy and debate, right? It should be noted that many of the problems that Hardin points out are the creation of European colonial policies, right? There wasn't, so far as anthropologists can discern, any great widespread hunger problem in sub-Saharan Africa prior to the advent of the slave trade in the 16th, 17th centuries, right? So it's very hypocritical to condemn the state of your neighbor's house when you're the one who lit the fire, right? But I want you to, if you take nothing else away from this particular segment of this class, I want you to take away serious, or give serious consideration to Pojman's suggestion that mutual aid, right, is of paramount importance, because as he notes, Hardin's lifeboat metaphor is really misleading. It's more of the entire planet is a lifeboat, and we're all in it, and there's nowhere to go if we don't begin cooperating.